Panchakalpa Turuvascha Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo. That's nice. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Gopi Janabalabha Girivardhakti Gopi Janabalabha Girivardhakti Yasodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tera Panachalti Yamuna Tira Manachalde Jayarandu Madhava Kunya Vihakti Jayarad Madhava Kunya Bhakti Gopi Nana Balabha Girivardhakti Gopi Nana Balabha Girivardhakti Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachalti Yamuna Tira Banachalti Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihakti Jayu Radhu Madhuva Kunya Bikhagote. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravidikacharya, also Teta Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace Abhaya, Janananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Vedas Thakur Ki Jai, Prab Say Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda Shadwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Shaimakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Machuradam Ki Jai, Jagannath Swami Ki Jai, Manamai Ki Jai, Shrimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Samariti Namani, Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani, Pachani Nivashesha Shinyavadi, Paschatya Deshatarni. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 53rd chapter, text 25. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Durbhagaya na me data nanukulo Maheshvara Devi va vimukhi gori rudrani girija sati durbhagaya namedatta nanukula maheshvara Devi va vimukhi gori rudrani girija sati durbhagaya namedatta nanukula maheshvara Devi va vimukhi gori rudrani girijasati durbhagaya namedatta nanukula maheshvara Devi va vimukhi gori rudrani girijasati. Okay. right? Durabhagaya, who is unfortunate. Na, not. Me, with me. Data, the creator, Lord Brahma. Na, not. Anukula, favorably disposed. Maha Ishvara, the great Lord Shiva. Devi, the goddess's consort. Va, or. Vimukhi, turned against. Gauri, Gauri. Rudrani, the wife of Rudra. Girija, the adopted daughter of the Himalayan mountain range. Sati, Sati, who in her previous life, as the daughter of Daksha, chose to give up her body. So in translation, I am extremely unfortunate, for the Creator is not favorably disposed toward me. Of course, Creator means Lord Brahma in this particular case. Nor is the great Lord Shiva, or perhaps Shiva's wife, Devi, who is known as Gauri, Rudrani, Girija, and Sati, has turned against me. She can repeat. I am extremely unfortunate, for the Creator is not favorably disposed toward me. Nor is the great Lord Shiva, or perhaps Shiva's wife Devi, who is known as Gauri, Rudrani, Girija, and Sati, has turned against me. So, purport by the followers of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that Rukmini might have thought, even if Krishna wanted to come, he might have been stopped on the path by the Creator, Brahma, who is not favorably inclined toward me. But why should he be unfavorable? Perhaps it is Maheshwara, Lord Shiva, whom on some occasion I did not properly worship, and who thus became angry with me. But he is Maheshwara, the great controller. So why would he be angry with such an insignificant and foolish girl as me? Perhaps it is Shiva's wife, Gauri, who is displeased, though I worship her every day. Alas, alas! How have I offended her so that she has turned against me? But after all, she is Rudrani, the wife of Rudra, and her very name means one who makes everyone cry. So perhaps she and Shiva wanted me to cry. But seeing that I'm so miserable about to give up my life, why don't they soften their attitude? The reason must be that Goddess Devi is Girija, an adopted daughter. So why should she be soft-hearted? In her incarnation as Sati, she gave up her body, so perhaps she now wants me to give up my body also. Thus the Acharya, with realized poetic sensitivity, interprets the various names used in this verse. So, of course, that was Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, but not his direct commentary, but the commentary cited by the followers of Srila Prabhupada. So we're not going to read his commentary, because that's the same thing. So Jiva Goswami states, she thinks of another cause of her misfortune, not considering that the faultless Lord sees faults in her. Though I have worshipped Brahma and Shiva, they do not favor me. But one should receive good fortune from worshiping Brahma and Shiva. Shiva then thinks of another reason. Though Durga is our family deity, she does not favor me because I have not worshipped her properly. Because she is so indifferent, Brahma and Shiva are so unfavorable to me. She thinks of another cause since Durga is dependent on her husband. Though dependent on Shiva, Rudrani, she was born again as Girija. First she was born as Sati, the daughter of Daksha, and later as Girija from the Himalayas. That means, Girija means born from the mountain, basically. I mean, just a little bit of information here. Sometimes it's stated that because the mountain is very hard, then the person who is born or adopted or the daughter of the mountains would also be hard-hearted. So that's the background between this. From the Girija from the Himalayas, hearing her husband was insulted, she gave up her life. It is suitable that I give up my life on not attaining Krishna. Another version has Girisha. That is Lord Shiva. One who did austerities of sleeping on the mountain, she then began to weeping profusely. This is understood from the next verse. And finally, Sanatana Goswami. I am most unfortunate because the Lord and Shiva do not favor me. They have the power to remove obstacles. Devi is our family deity. She is golden, but previously was black. So let me explain that one. I think it's important to explain that. Black is Kalima. And Kalima is depicted, especially in Bengal, they worship Kalima. And there's depictions of Kali, who was so angry with the demons that she didn't even notice Lord Shiva was there. And she stepped on Lord Shiva. So you see this picture in Bengal. Anyone seen that picture? Her stepping on Lord Shiva and her tongue is hanging out like that. And she looks ferocious. So, and then, of course, that's Kalima. By undergoing great austerity, she became golden. She is fully devoted to Shiva. Or as Rudrani, she is pure devoid of faults like hardness. She knows the pain that a girl undergoes to obtain a husband. She had two births. She was born from the mountain Girija. Another version has Girisha. Being similar to Shiva, she is affectionate to the devotees. As Sati, she has all good qualities. She cried profusely, since later it is said, Ashru Kala Kule. It's like we chant every morning, Ashru Taranga Banjo. The tears come from the eyes like torrents of rain. Okay, and the verse again. Durbagaya Namedata Nanakula Maheshvara Devi Vavimukhi Gori Rudrani Girijasati. So Omagana Tibdandasha Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Unmiritam Yena Tasmai Shigurve Namaha. So there's several different points I want to touch on here. That, of course, she's grasping in her mind. She's just like in so much anxiety, she's grasping. Is it because of this? Is it because of that? Is it because of that? And sometimes you see this when someone is in great anxiety. Oh, my God. And their mind is just all over the place. And one of the things she's thinking here is that perhaps her worship was not done appropriately for Durga or for Lord Shiva. So this is a problem when one is worshiping the deities, not Radha Golokananda, but worshiping the demigods. Because when worshiping the demigods or performing Vedic sacrifices, unless you cross all your T's and dot your I's, you're going to get a result, perhaps the opposite result or no result. So it's a very specific procedures. Of course, we know about chanting the holy name and worshiping Krishna, especially chanting the holy name, Niyamena Tishnan. There's a lot more leeway. There's no hard and fast rules insofar as time, place, and circumstance. And, even if you go to a different country and you find people chanting the holy name, not precisely with the right pronunciation, like in certain countries, Hare Krishna, isn't it? Krishna, sometimes it's Krishna. Krishna understands. But with the Vedic sacrifices, example given is the Twasta. This is a story from the Bhagavatam. Twasta was really, really angry at Indra because Indra had killed his son Visvarup. And not for a good reason, because Visvarup was the priest of Indra, and Indra killed his own priest. And Visvarup was offering also oblations to the demons as well as to the demigods. So Indra cut off the heads of his Guru Maharaj. That's not a good idea. And so Twasta, the father, he thought, I want to kill Indra. So he thought, how am I going to kill Indra? Let me create a demon who is the enemy of Indra. So he was going through this demon creation or creating mantras. And somehow or other, the mantra for creating an enemy of Indra became slightly changed. And then it became, I'm creating a demon who Indra is the enemy of. A little bit of mispronunciation. And then what do you get? The opposite effect. And of course, this demon was actually a devotee. It was just Chitraketu, and he was killed. Actually, he went into meditation. Indra actually didn't kill him. Indra cut off his head, but Indra didn't kill him because he went into meditation on Krishna and left his body voluntarily. Another story is very interesting about mispronouncing the mantras is the story of Shraddhadev Manu. His first son, can't say first son. So what happened? All right, let's go back a little bit. So Shraddhadev Manu wanted a son. So he went to his Guru Maharaj, Vashishta Muni, and said, I got to have a son. This is before he had any sons. Okay. And so Vashishta Muni starts his sacrifice. But one of the Brahmins, just one of the Brahmanas who was assisting Vashishta Muni, was influenced by Shraddhadev Manu's wife, who said, I would rather have a daughter. So he just changed the pronunciation a little bit. I think the word was vasati or something like that, if I remember correctly. He changed the pronunciation a little bit, and out comes a daughter instead of a son. Just a little change. And of course, that daughter's name was Ela, and there's a whole story in the Bhagavatam how Ela was transformed into a son by Vashishta Muni. That son became known as Sudunya. And then Sudunya, because it wasn't really his karma, was going through the forest where Lord Shiva and Parvati were. And because he was in this private forest of their loving exchanges, he and all of his soldiers turned into ladies. Anyway. And so, to make a long story short, they got the benediction later on by Vashishta Muni. They could be, at least Sudunya and Ela could be a female 1 month and a male the next month, which wasn't too pleasing to those who wanted a king. So anyway, so these are examples how if there's a little bit of deviation in a sacrifice, then there's displeasure. Whereas with Krishna, going back to the point with Krishna, Krishna says, Ananyas chinti antomam yejanak paripasate tesham nityabhiyuktamam yogakshem vahamiham. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that we're excused for any damn thing we do, especially if we commit offenses or do something deliberately. Uh, but Krishna says, for those who are devoted to me. So she's not having doubts in Krishna here. She's having doubts in these demigods, and perhaps it's mentioned because maybe she worshipped them improperly. But Krishna says, for those who are devoted to me, worship me with love. Ananyas chintyan, their mind is only fixed on me. For those personalities, then I personally carry what they lack and, isn't it, protect what they have. And of course, there's that interesting story that's told in the Puranas about this Acharya. I believe his name was Arjuna Acharya for some reason or other, if I remember the story correctly. And Arjuna Acharya was writing a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. And while he was writing the commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, he came across this verse, and he basically wanted to change the Sanskrit, because the Sanskrit says basically personally do it. And because he thought, Krishna doesn't personally do it. Krishna's not personally taking care of it. He takes care of it through what? His energies. So he changes it to something like Krishna arranges for it to be done. And so he scratched out the original verse. He says, well, this must be a bad copy of the Bhagavad Gita. And we put in the actual verse. And so anyway, they goes away. In the meantime, what happens? Oh, yeah. 2 boys come to see his wife. They knock on the door. One boy is sort of darkish. The other boy is whitish. And the darkest boy is bleeding. And they're bringing all sorts of foodstuffs and giving all the foodstuffs to this Acharya's wife. And they said, we have been sent by our spiritual master, your husband. And she said, I didn't know my husband had any disciples like this. And she said, what happened to your back? And he said, your husband beat me. And the scratches all over. All right, anyway, so she eats the prasadam or whatever has been sent she thinks has been sent by the husband. So husband comes back, and he sees his wife is eating. He says, why did you eat before me? And she says, well, you sent all this food for me to eat, but why did you beat up this, blackish boy? And he says, what did he look like? And, he looked like Krishna. And then he understood that Krishna actually carries what we lack and preserves what we have. Directly, we have a personal relationship with Krishna. So I thought this is a very important point insofar as the worship of the demigods or Vedic sacrifices. And of course, Rukmini, being, obviously established in a particular situation, is eternally the wife of Krishna. She is worshiping the demigods only to please Krishna, like the gopis are worshiping Katyayani only to get Krishna and please Krishna. Okay, I thought that was one point. I got a lot of other points. So I'd like to read the Krishna book rendition of this particular section of the Bhagavatam. She began to think further about the dissatisfaction of the demigods, like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and demigoddesses like Durga. It is generally said that when the demigods are not properly worshipped, they become angry on a particular person. Exactly what we were talking about in a different way. For instance, just like Indra, when he found that the inhabitants of Vrindavan were not worshipping him, the Indra Yagya was stopped by Krishna, he also became very angry and wanted to chastise the residents of Vrindavan. So Rukmini was thinking in that way because that she did not very much worship Lord Shiva or Brahma, they might have become angry. Therefore, they have tried to frustrate my plan. Similarly, goddess Durga, who was the wife of Lord Shiva, she might have taken the side of her husband. Her husband, Lord Shiva, is known as Rudra, and as such, Rudra's wife is known as Rudrani. Rudrani and Rudra mean those who are very much accustomed to put others in distress conditions, so that such persons may cry forever. Of course, the Rudra incarnation appeared when Lord Brahma was angry with the four Kumars, his sons, when they refused to get married. And so Lord Rudra came out, and there were 11 of them, who came out from Lord Brahma's forehead, and they were threatening even to destroy the universe. So Lord Brahma had to create or arrange for wives for them so they'd be pacified. And those wives are known as Rudranis. Rudra and Rudrani mean those who are very much accustomed to put others in distress conditions so that such persons may cry forever. She was thinking, so these are Prabhupada's words about these purports. She was thinking of goddess Durga as the daughter of the Himalayan mountain. Gadija means daughter of the Himalayan mountain. So the Himalayan mountain, this is what I talked about before, is very cold and hard. Therefore, she was thinking of goddess Durga very hard-hearted and cold. In this way, because Rukmini was, after all, a child at that time, so here's the scenario. She was very, very young. She was thinking in different ways about her different demigods on account of her extreme anxiety for seeing Krishna. As the gopis worship goddess Katyayani for getting Krishna as their husband, similarly, Rukmini also thinking of various types of demigods, not exactly to derive any material benefit from them, but in relationship with Krishna. To pray to the different demigods for achieving the favor of Krishna is not irregular. Actually, Rukmini was fully absorbed in thought of Krishna, thus she pacified herself that the time for arrival of Govinda had not yet expired. So she was also pacifying herself, which is really interesting. So, here's an explanation that I found in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is quoted in the Madhya Lila about Rukmini's humility. This is not specifically about humility, but this is in reference, I mean, it is specifically about humility, but this is not specifically about Rukmini, but it's in reference to what Rukmini was experiencing due to her humility and intense desire, as that was described in the previous class, that this dainya, which is abject humility, is described as an essential item in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita for attaining Krishna's mercy. So in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the word dainya, humility, is explained as follows. When unhappiness, fearfulness, and the sense of having offended combine, one feels condemned. So this is really exactly explaining Rukmini here. I found this amazing. Like I said, it's not even in reference to Rukmini, but it's explaining this abject humility. When unhappiness, fearfulness, she's miserable because Krishna's not yet appeared. She's fearful that Krishna's not going to come. And the sense of having offended, thinking she's offended the demigods, one feels condemned. This sense of condemnation is described as dinata, humility. There's another word for humility. When one is subjected to such humility, he feels physically inactive. He apologizes, and his consciousness is disturbed. His mind is also restless, and many other symptoms are visible. The word nirveda is also explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. One may feel unhappiness in separation as well as jealousy and lamentation due to not discharging one's duties. The despondency that results is called nirveda. When one is captured by this despondency, thoughts, tears, loss of bodily luster, humility, and heavy breathing result. So these, of course, are all symptoms of Vyabhachari Bhava. These are Vyabhachari Bhavas. The interesting thing is, I found an interesting definition that I hadn't seen before in Prabhupada's books of Vyabhachari Bhavas and Sanchari Bhavas. Generally, what's been described previously was Sanchari Bhavas are taken as synonymous with Vyabhachari Bhavas, but Prabhupada describes that Vyabhachari Bhavas, this is an interesting definition, are destructive ecstasy. He described it, quoting from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Everything Prabhupada said or says is coming from the past acharyas, obviously. So he says, this is how he differentiates the symptoms of Vyabhachari Bhava. The symptoms are called Vyabhachari Bhava. I'm going to read more of these symptoms in a second. And Prabhupada said, destructive ecstasy. If they continue, they are sometimes called sanchari, or continued ecstasy. So Prabhupada makes this distinction between Vyabhachari, which is like intermittent, destructive ecstasy, and sanchari, which is continuous destructive ecstasy. I found that quite interesting. Okay, so here's more about these feelings according to the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that Rukmini was experiencing. When one fails to achieve his desired goal of life and repents for all his offenses, there's a state called regret, called vishada. So Rukmini's repenting that, I didn't worship properly, or I'm not getting the mercy of these different demigods. The symptoms of asada are also explained. One hankers to revive his original condition and inquires how to do so. There are also deep thought, heavy breathing, crying and lamentation, as well as changing of bodily color and drying up of the tongue. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, 33 such destructive symptoms are mentioned. They're expressed in words, in the eyebrows, and in the eyes. Shh. Okay, and I have a lot more about Vyabhachari Bhavas, but there's not a lot of time to talk about this. One other point I wanted to mention, that Rukmini, going through all these emotions, is also manifesting her intense or absolute faith in Krishna. Her doubts are not in Krishna. Her doubts are in herself, basically. Very, very interesting point. So, therefore, she's not deterred in her focus, and she's taking responsibility for her own suffering and going on worshiping Krishna in spite of that. And this reminds me of the famous verse in the Bhagavatam, 10:14:8. Tatena kampam sushamikshamana punjanavatma vipakam Hridvagva Purvir Vidanam Namaste Jivetiyo Mukti Pade Siddhayabhak. That, my dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, body, mind, and words, heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. So Rukmini is actually personifying this particular verse in this particular pastime. She's not blaming Krishna for any of these things. She has full faith in Krishna, full focus in Krishna. She's offering everything, her body. She will get married to Krishna. Her mind is absorbed in Krishna. Her words are speaking about Krishna. And this is how we attain Krishna. You understand? We tolerate tatena kampam sushamiksrana, punjanivatma vipakam, and ascribe any suffering or challenges we have, not specifically, or suffering, not specifically to Krishna, but as token reactions for anything we might have done before. In this way, we become rightful inheritors for pure devotional service. And Rukmini is showing us how to do this. So, we got another 3 minutes, or 2.5 minutes. So any questions or comments? These are some of the points from this particular verse. Tatena kampam, yeah. 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 Yeah, simply stay faithful and fixed in Krishna consciousness. And you ascribe the suffering you're going to as token reactions for past activities in this world, rather than getting angry with Krishna. Krishna, why are you doing this to me? Or Krishna's cruel. So Rukmini is not thinking Krishna's cruel. She's ascribing the suffering that she's undergoing to different circumstances in this world, whether it's her own mistakes in doing a sacrifice or performing the worship of the demigods, or the demigods just being cruel at heart. Which is interesting. I mean, Sati, of course, Sati and Rudrani and Girija. So, we have 1 minute left. No other questions? Okay. Thank you very much. All glories to His divine grace. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Samasitam Buddha Sundaranga Andar ako Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Asa Sakale Priya Priti Manti Asyan Dipan Dikayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Namo Vishnu Padaya. Krishna Prasad. Actually, I'm not feeling so good. Let someone else lead the kirtan. Let someone else lead the kirtan. I'm feeling a little dizzy.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Bhaktivedanta Namaste